Hello, you guys. Welcome back to Lily Reads. Okay, so we are doing a July wrap up. I had an idea, I had a theory, I had a goal. Basically, I wanted to read as many 5-star books as possible in July. Here's the thing, I know that sounds like obvious. Everyone reads books in hopes that they're going to be reading 5-star books, but that's not necessarily the case. Sometimes I pick up books that I own and it's just like, I know I'm either not in the mood for this book, or I might have outgrown this book, so I know I probably won't give it 5 stars. But I intentionally chose the books that I was going to read this month with the hopes that they were going to be 5 stars. I expected for them to be 5-star. I guess you could say I did a whole month of 5-star predictions. And I flopped. I flopped very, very badly, or the writers of these books flopped, because I think I gave out none. I don't think I gave out a single 5-star, maybe one, but we'll talk about it when we get to it. So, I flopped. Anyways, I do want to just go through all the books that I read. I read a lot of books in July. July was probably the most books I read all year. It might be the most books I read for the entire year in 1 month, but I had a lot of fun reading the books. I don't regret anything that I read. So the first thing we can knock off is the last book I read in July, which is Daughter of the Moon Goddess. This book was on my reading challenge. You guys know I'm doing a year-long reading challenge, and this was the book I had to read in July. I did not know if I was going to get to this book. This is a hefty book. This is a fantasy book, and I don't like fantasy. But I did it. I just picked it up and it's like, Kenya, just do it. Do some sprints and you can get through it. And I read this book. So in this book, we are following the daughter of the moon goddess. Her mother, the moon goddess, she has been kind of expelled. She has kind of been thrusted out of the main kingdoms, the main society, because she did something with her husband, who was the sun. Something happened which caused them to kind of be banished by the powers that be. And then someone came to get the moon goddess because of what she did. And basically the daughter, she had to run away in order to get away from the thing that was getting her mother. And so basically she spent the entire book trying to save her mother, the moon goddess, from being banished from all of society. This book was really good. I really enjoyed this book. This book reminded me, so back in the day, back when I was in high school and middle school, I used to read a lot of romantasy. Is that what y'all calling it these days? Fantasy books that have heavy romance. I did not know that this was this book. I thought this was just going to be a fantasy story, but no, this is heavy on the romantasy. You got a love triangle going on in this book. You have forbidden love. You have my man gonna be with another woman love. This was heavy on the romance, and I really, really enjoyed it. I think the thing that would take it down a few stars is I kind of wish there was more. If I am going to read a fantasy book and spend my time reading a fantasy book, you need to really blow me away. There needs to be a lot of elements going on, and that's not this book. This book is pretty simple. This is a series, and I have no desire to continue in the series. That's kind of the judge of if I like the fantasy novel or not, or give it 5 stars, is if I would continue in the series, and I do not want to continue in this series. If someone gifted it to me, I would read it, or maybe if it was for free on Libby. I don't think I would get it from the library, because I do think the sequel to this is at the library. I have no desire to go check it out. But if I got it on Libby or something, I would read it, but it's nothing I'm in love with. But I do give this book 4 out of 5 stars. This book is really, really enjoyable. And I think if this is your thing, you could really, really like that book. The next thing, the books that I did for videos, I'll get through quickly. The Force of Such Beauty. This is about a woman who marries a prince, and basically she feels suffocated. She feels this is not the life that she wants to live, and she wants some freedom, so she tries to run away, and she gets caught, and then we go back in time to figure out why she would want to run away from this palace, from this amazing life you would think she has. I really enjoyed this book. I love a nice long story about a woman who was down on her luck, and that's what this book was. I give this book 4 out of 5 stars. I thought this book was very, very enjoyable. We got to get through them quick, y'all. I read so many goddamn books. The next book that I read was Bunny. In this book, we are following a girl. She is in graduate school. And basically, there's this group of girls who are graduates. And they call themselves the Bunny, or they call each other Bunny. And she kind of gets like infiltrated into their group, and strange things start to happen. This is probably one of the worst books I've read this year. I gave this book 1 out of 5 stars. I simply do not get it. I don't get it. I don't think it's for me to get, and that's fine. I don't really think this book is for everyone to get, and so I didn't get it. I didn't enjoy it. I very much so just did not like it. Is there a bookmark in here? There's a whole bookmark in there. And so I get 1 out of 5 stars. Not for me. The next book that I read was Happy Place. So in this book, we are following a couple. They are meeting back up with some college friends, but the problem is they are no longer together. When the friends think that they are in a relationship and they're going to get married, but in reality, they have broken up. So they're lying to their friends, trying to pretend that they're still together because another duo in their friend group is getting married and they don't want to ruin the fun. So that is what this book is about. It's this couple having to live together and pretend that they are married. This book didn't work for me. I actually think this is my least favorite of all of the Emily Henry romance books. This book left no impression on me. I'm going to give it a 3.5 because Emily Henry is just a good writer, but this is not for me. I thought it was fine, and there were moments that I thought were cute, but it just didn't hit the way I wanted it to hit. I was sure I was going to give this book 5 stars, and like a lot of this book, it was kind of like pulling teeth to get through for me. I just wasn't having this nice, bouncy, fun time that I usually have with an Emily Henry. The next book we have is Severance. This book, I keep saying this book is post-apocalyptic, but it might just be apocalyptic, like they're in the apocalypse. Anyways, in this book, we are following a woman who works at a publishing company, and basically you are hearing about her work life working at this publishing company and her not really having any true aspirations. And then you're following her when this apocalypse has come, this disease has come and taken over like the world, America. And I don't know if that's why I say it, though. I don't know if it's the entire world, if it's just America. And basically her trying to survive with these groups of people who have kind of taken her in. So it's the end of time and these people have taken her in. And then we're hearing about her life before this. I thought this book was really good. I thought this book was an interesting tale about capitalism. I thought this book was an interesting tale about like disease and like community and family. I thought this book was really good. I'm going to give this book 4 out of 5 stars. The only thing that didn't work for me with this book is like marketed as like a satire or like, you know, a funny book. I ain't find nothing in this book funny. I didn't find a damn thing in the book funny, but I did enjoy reading that book. The next book we have is Mame. In this book, we are following a girl. She is the daughter of Ghanaian immigrants, and basically she has to take care of her father because he has Parkinson's, but because she has to take care of him and her mom is in Ghana a lot and her brother just doesn't care to like be home. She feels like she's kind of stunted, and you kind of see that she's stunted, and basically you're following her as she tries to like reclaim her own life and start her own life. My issue with this book is just that I rarely like books like this where there's no actual plot of the story. You're just like following a character in a moment in time. Like, I told you I like long stories about women who are trying, but usually there's a plot in those. Like, there's a main plot that gets the story going. So in The Force of Such Beauty, the main plot is that she's running away from this castle, and you're like, why is she doing? Like, there's always a call to action. This type of book, there really is no call to act. Like, you're just following them throughout their life. There's no big climax. There's no big falling action. You just like following them in a moment in time, and you get the story and you're done. And I don't like that. That is what bores me. So I know the stuff that I like. So a lot of people could think The Force of Such Beauty is really boring because they're like, girl, when it like it's just dragging and dragging and dragging. But that, I think these types of books are boring, where it's just like, it's a moment in time. You're not even particularly sure why you're following the character in this exact moment in time. Then when you get to the end of it, their life is not remarkably different. It's just like, okay. So I feel like in The Force of Beauty, it's told like it's an epic. Think Cersei. It's told in a way where like it's like an epic. And these types of books are just focusing on like the mundane. And I don't really like that. Rootless is the exact same way, I think. Actually, no, I would put Rootless in more of the Forces of Beauty. I just had an issue with the way Rootless was written. Yeah, no, this book was just boring to me. I do give it 3.5 because I know exactly who this book is supposed to be interesting to. It's just not me. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with the book. A book that I think there is something wrong with is Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. In this book, we are following a guy who is writing a book about his family where everyone has killed someone. So they go meet up at this mountain retreat because his brother is getting out of prison, and so they're trying to, like, you know, have like a family reunion for the brother. Well, someone ends up dead at the family reunion. They're trying to solve what happened to this person and why they're dead. This book, I think, falls flat on all the things. I think it falls flat on the meta-ness. Like, I think it's too clever for its own good. It's trying so hard to be clever that it's not clever at all. Then it has to be a good murder mystery, and it's not good at that. Then it's supposed to be like this locked room, we're in a mountain type of thing, and I also think that kind of falls short too. To me, none of the elements come together to make a cohesive book, and that's my biggest issue with this book. It's not cohesive. It just doesn't flow the way a book needs to flow. Therefore, I'm going to give this book 2 out of 5 stars. Woo, let's get through them, child. The next book that is really disappointing because I really thought I was going to give this book 5 stars. Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. So in this book, we are following a white woman named June who has taken credit for her Asian friend's work and basically published it as her own after her Asian friend dies. This book is perfectly enjoyable. Like, if you read it at face value, no pun intended, it's really, like, it's enjoyable. You can't put it down. My problem is this book is 100% written to win awards. Like, this is R.F. Kuang's contemporary literary fiction. Go at it. It's supposed to be, you know, highbrow. And I just don't think it does enough. Like, I said it in in the video I talked about this book. It could be sharper. Like, I think everything about this book is so obvious that it just feels a little incomplete. It just feels like it's not fully actualized. Like, you spend so much time in June's head, and like what you're supposed to learn from June, I think every person who is reading this book already knows. Like, you know that white people are racist. You know that white women use their perceived fragility to get over on people. You know all of those things. So, like, what else is this book trying to do? I felt like the social commentary in this book is 4 years too late. Like, all the stuff that it's saying about, like, the world, we also already know. And I'm just like, this could be so much more, you know? And then you also have, like, the kind of self-insert of R.F. Kuang in this book. Like, it feels like R.F. Kuang wrote this book. Like, a lot of the stuff that is happening in this book is just like, oh, R.F. Kuang is like writing from herself. Like, you can just tell this is an R.F. Kuang book, you know? Therefore, I'm going to give this book 3.5 out of 5 stars. It didn't work for me, and it worked for so many other people. It's not until like recently where I've seen people say that the book, like, there's issues with the book, except from like critics. Like, it didn't get a good New York Times review either. But I so many people on like BookTube and like TikTok and stuff really liked it. So I was expecting this to go in and like be blown away, and I kind of just found it pretty basic. And then when you get to the end, it's clunky at best. So I don't know. The next book we have is The Bodyguard. In this book, we are following a woman who's a bodyguard, and she has to be a bodyguard for this movie star. And basically, they have to fake date so that... Why the fuck did they have to fake date? They had to fake date so people didn't know she was a bodyguard. And this is their romance. I thought this book had a really good plot, a really good setup, and I enjoyed that. I just overall didn't really gel with the writing. I just need more in my romances for me to really love a romance book, because I'm not in my romance era right now. So I gave this book 3.5 out of 5 stars. Just wasn't for me. A book that really wasn't for me was Reckless Girls. In this book, we are following a girl. We're following 3 girls and a dude, and basically they have all gone on a boat because they are going on some trip, and the boat belongs to our main girl's boyfriend. Basically, at the beginning of the book, we know that someone is dead, and we're trying to see what caused these 3 girls and 1 boy for somebody to end up dead. That is what this book is about. I don't like books like this. I don't like locked room stories, as in like a locked room thriller. I don't like locked room thrillers where it's just like one person's dead, who did it. I like those more in a mystery aspect. I love when we're like interrogating every single person and we're trying to do the clues. That's why I like Agatha Christie. But I do not like locked room thrillers where it's just like one person is dead. Think The White Lotus, and that's kind of what this book is. So I gave it 2 out of 5 stars, but I wasn't fully even expecting to love that book. Now, the next thing that you're probably shocked I read this month, and if you follow me on Goodreads, that's the only way you could know I read these books this month. I read the Geekerella series. This is the first thing I read this month. The first weekend of this month, I marathoned the entire Geekerella series. If you remember in one of my vlogs, I purchased these 2 books on discount. And so I went to the library and I picked up the first one because you got to read the first one before you read the 2 of these. And so I just marathoned the entire thing because I knew I purchased these books for like $3 and they were going to sit on my bookshelf forever if I just didn't go ahead and read them. So I did. Okay, let's see how we're going to go about these. In Geekerella, you are following this girl whose dad died, and basically he ran this like comic book, type of thing, like Comic-Con. He like ran like a Comic-Con, and basically the show that they're obsessed with, or movie they're obsessed with, is getting a new movie, and this man has been cast as the main guy, and basically that main guy is also in the fandom, and he's been talking to our girl online, and so they already know each other, but she's not aware that he's like a movie star, and basically this is them falling in love. This is the best book of the series. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. This is a really good book. It's interesting. Like it keeps your attention the entire time. But then you have, what's the next one? Princess. I think you get Bookish and the Beast, and in this book you are following a girl who has to... So basically, this book is about this girl. She has to work in this like boy's house to pay off this debt. She has a dog that runs into his house, and the dog fucks up this like rare book. So in order to pay off the debt of the rare book, she has to work in this library and clean some stuff up. But he's a Hollywood actor as well, and he's been caught up in like this publicity issue, and basically they end up getting together. I honestly can't even remember how this book is connected to the last book, but they all are connected in like very thin ways. Like they're not heavily connected. You do not need to read the last one to read this one. You just kind of like to know the world, like the comic book or whatever the hell, the movie or whatever they're talking about. That's the only reason why you would know. I did not like this book. I gave this book 2.5 out of 5 stars. You see, I can barely remember it. Then this one is the worst one, Princess and the Fangirl. So in this book, you have this girl who shows up to the Comic-Con that I was talking about in the first book. And basically, she gets confused for the girl who is the playing the other person in the comic they like in the first book. In the first book, there's a movie for the comics they like, something like that. And basically there's a girl who's playing like the main love interest in those books, but she don't want to play those type of characters because she wants to be highbrow. Well, basically we meet back up with her in this book, and our main girl gets mistaken for that girl, and they decide that, hey, you really like these comic stuff. I don't like this comic stuff. You should pretend to be me. And so they switch places, and then she has a like assistant, and that's how they all end up together. And that's a whole thing. That's how this goes. I did not like this book. I gave this book 2 out of 5 stars. So I read that entire series. That was a fever dream. The fact that I even got through it is crazy. The next thing we have is Drowning. In this book, we are following a plane that has fallen out of the sky and is about to land in the ocean. They land in the ocean. Some people die, but now it is the rescue mission to get them out of the water. That's what this is about. This is about saving a plane from drowning. This book is perfectly enjoyable. I would say if you want a nice little thrilling read, you should pick up this book. But like I read Falling and I enjoyed Falling more, so I'm gonna give this book 3 stars, but it's perfectly enjoyable. This is not a negative 3 star. This is like a good, like this book did what it needed to do. I just felt like Falling had more going on, but I enjoyed it. Okay. Summerween happened. Let's discuss Summerween real quick. We read 5 books in Summerween. Can you believe it? Like Summerween happened and we read 5 books. I read Fever Dream. Fever Dream is about a boy who is basically following this lady, trying to warn her about something that's going to happen to her if she doesn't like become vigilant and look at her surroundings and be more careful. This book was really enjoyable. I think this book told an interesting tale about family and the things we do to protect family and preserve family, and also like friendship and what you owe to your friends and all of that. I give this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed Fever Dream. Then you have The Couple at Table 6. This book is about a waitress who becomes obsessed with this couple who constantly dines at her restaurant, and eventually their paths cross in at least this cat and mouse game where the couple is trying to get over on the waitress and the waitress is trying to get over on the couple. I enjoyed the fuck out of this book. I gave this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. A really good, fun time. Then we have The Swap, probably the most chaotic book I read this entire month. So in this book, we are following a girl, a girl who just graduated from high school, who becomes friends with this new influencer who showed up to town. She's an influencer. Her husband's a hockey player. The hockey player has been canceled by society because they say he's responsible for killing someone. So basically they have moved to town, and our high school girl becomes obsessed with this couple and obsessed with their life, and it leads her into, some strange things, and people die, and this is a thriller. Oh, I gave that book, 4 out of 5 stars, really enjoyable. Then we have A Good Marriage. In this book, we are following a woman who is a lawyer. She is married to a husband who has just been convicted of a DUI. They owe a bunch of money in debt because of the trouble he got in with the DUI. She gets a call from someone she went to law school with. Basically, he's like, I'm going to be accused of killing my wife. So she basically takes on the case to like prove that he did not kill his wife. So in that, we try to figure out how did his wife die. I give this book 3.5 out of 5 stars. That book could have been a 4-star, but I just didn't like the way it ended. I just felt like there was so much meat on the bone, and it was kind of like left on the bone for a very easy, like convenient way to wrap up the story. The Last Housewife. The Last Housewife is about a girl who basically joins a cult, and she's trying to figure out why do people who are in this cult with her keep dying. This is a cult book, and the reason why I'm kind of spoiling that for you, because if you want to read this book, I feel like you should know that this is a cult book. This book isn't like branded as a cult book. I mean, you could read the synopsis maybe, I don't know, but this is 100% a cult book. It's about being in a cult. It's about escaping a cult, and I think that's to be known because I did not like this book. I'm going to give this book now 1.5 stars. One of my least favorite books of the year. Okay. The Lily Reads Book Club. The Lily Reads Book Club, we read Last Chance Dance. In this book, we are following a main character who has just been dumped by her boyfriend of 4 years. They're about to graduate high school. They're all going their separate ways, but there is one last dance. And so she thought she was going to go to this dance with her boyfriend, but the boyfriend was just like, no, I want to break up. Like, we're not even going to the same college. Like, we've been together 4 years. Let's figure something else out. So she has this last chance dance. And basically at this last chance dance, you get to go on a date with 4 people, 3 in which you like match with. So like you have 3 people who like you write down that you like, and if those people also write your name down, they're your matches and you have to go on a date with them. But then you got a 4th person who is chosen by the way you guys answer a questionnaire. So our main character has 4 dates she is going on, and she's trying to see what's gonna happen. Like, her future's up in the air. This book is really enjoyable. I think if you have been thinking about reading this book, or if you just want something quick to read this book. This book is so, like, we had so much fun talking about this book in the book club. Get your hands on this book. I give this book 4 out of 5 stars. So you guys, remember when I said I did not like Bunny? Yeah, I'm more firm on that than ever, because I read the things we do to our friends. And you guys, this is my Bunny. You know how people read Bunny, the book Bunny, and they're just like, I love Bunny. Like, you just don't get it. That's how I feel about the things we do to our friends. This book has a really low Goodreads rating. A lot of people dislike this book, but I think you guys do not get it. This book and Bunny almost have the exact same plot, but this is just more to my taste. It's clearer than Bunny. So in this book, you are following a girl, and basically she's kind of secluded. We know that things have happened in her past that have kind of kept her being an outsider. She doesn't really open up to other people until one day she meets this girl. This girl is fun. This girl is flashy, and this girl has a bunch of friends, but like she's almost like the nucleus of her friend group. Everyone is just revolving around her, and she basically, everyone vies for her attention. Everyone wants to be like her, wants to talk to her. So our main character becomes close to this girl, and as they're becoming close, she's noticing a lot of weird things are happening. This girl is asking her to do a lot of weird stuff, but eventually they form a tight friend group, and they start on this mission, this journey, this job. And in this job, they basically do some really sick and twisted shit, and it leads to more sick and twisted shit. And basically it's all of these girls and this boy coming together to like try to all appease this one main girl, and what happens when that happens, the things we do to our friends. And then you also have the aspect of the stuff that happened in our main character's past. I know I explain books terribly, but that's what this book is about. This book, like, if this is one of those books where like the entire time you're probably gonna hate it. You're gonna be like, what the fuck is this? Like, what, every page, every chapter, something weird happens. You're just like, what's going on? What's going on? But then if you're like me, you get to the end and you're just like, whoa, that was fun. Whoa, that was a fun ride. The Things We Do to Our Friends is such a good title for this book. I thought this book had interesting things to say about like friendship, this interesting thing to say about being a people pleaser, interesting things to say about like parents and what parents owe their children and all types of stuff like that. I enjoyed the hell. I thought this book had so many layers, and this is one of those books where it has no clear narrative structure. Like, it's not like you go from like, you know, exposition, rising action, climax, fall. Like, there's so many climaxes. Like, so many, every chapter could be the climax of this book. Now, you do get one, like, huge climax, but even after you get a huge climax, it's almost not even treated like it is, and then you get another one. This book is so, I think, well done. I don't know what else to tell you. I think this book is well done. It's not gonna be for everyone, but I just think this book is daring. This book takes on this thrillery, almost this culty thing, and it does something way more interesting than I think a Bunny did or other cult type books. I think, I loved it. I loved the way, the narrative voice it decided to go with. I loved all the girls and the information it gives you on all the characters in the book. I love the going back in time and learning about what this character went through, her relationship with her friends. I loved it. I'm giving this book 5 out of 5 stars. This is our only 5-star read. I went back and forth, 4.55. I'm going to give this book 5 stars because something got to be. I refuse to say that I read all of these books. Not these. Ignore these. All of these books and none of them were 5 stars. But anyways, those are the books that I read in July. I enjoyed them. I don't regret it. But there weren't any like clear winners. The Things We Do to Our Friends was a shocking winner. But I think you should get it. Like, it has such a low Goodreads rating. Such a low. One of you guys said you liked it on Goodreads, and that's the only reason why I picked it up, because I've only heard negative things about the book. And I picked it up, and I was just like, oh, this book is fun. Oh, this book is such good fun. Like, this book works. Like, I don't know. I just love books. I love movies this way, too, that just don't follow the expected structure of what is expected from that type of media. So, like, when it just, you know, it takes the confines that are usually set for that type of book and it just knocks it on its head. I loved it. I thought it was so brilliant. I thought it was so brave. I enjoyed it. I will see you guys in the next one, though. Peace.